Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 263 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey.
Now then.
Panic on the streets of Beeston. It's all going a bit wrong, isn't it, mate?
Oh, it's not going well.
Obviously, we are planning on doing another podcast on Saturday morning to talk about the Middlesbrough game, so we won't look forward. We'll just look back and maybe look back in anger or at least disappointment. So Leeds 0, Blackburn 1. In your opinion, just exactly how shit was that?
It was dreadful. I wouldn't mind. I sort of left the first half with, I know we were brilliant, but we were so dominant. One breakaway aside, which I'm not going to lie, absolutely terrified me for the moment that left Smodic's boot.
Yeah, that was the one where Somerville just passed it across the pitch to Sammy Smodicks, wasn't it? And he just ran.
It was, and I'm not just levelling this at Leeds. It was a big theme of the game, was just passing to the opposition in acres of space.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the opposition doing very little with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so poor. Just, I've said this many times. I assume football is a much more complicated game than this. But if teams defend really narrowly, would you not stay wide?
Yeah. We'll probably go roughly chronologically, But one of my main things being in the stand, and I know that this is easy to say, especially for me, stand-upper, where it's like Football Manager and it's top down, so you can see the space and you do get a better view. But the number of times someone got the ball and you're going, switch it. The guy on the far side has loads of room. No one else does. But
was it often the guy on the right?
Connor Roberts, for example, has 15 yards of space. And it's not even, because they're not pressing you in midfield, it's not even a difficult ball. And we just never seem to hit. We did hit a couple of them, but barely any. But like starting at the beginning, we made 3 changes. And I can't be mad at the changes, even though I don't think they worked, because I would have made 2 of them myself. Roberts in for Kamara and Gray into midfield, and Monto for James. I think we both said we would have gone for before the game. I was surprised to see Peru start over Bamford.
Yeah, I think I was surprised, given that it was up front. Like, because it's not a like for like change. But you would have to say, given how he has done coming off the bench the last few games, it wasn't the worst shout in the world to start him, but again,
I wasn't mad at it when I saw it. I just didn't expect it. I mean, we've been saying for a few weeks that if Bamford drops out, you probably pick Joseph because he's a bit more that type of striker. But like Peru getting on the ball and stuff, it was like Peru. I couldn't say he was good. He was fine. He just ended up looking a bit better because, like, he had a better game than Somerville and he had a better game than Rutter. And it just was not good at all to watch. It just didn't link up right. And Blackburn did the exact same thing that Sunderland did. They played 3 centre-backs with 2 midfielders right in front of them and just made sure that there was no space in the middle from 18 to 25 yards out. And it just nullified us.
So best I've got is just deep sigh.
Yeah.
It is very similar to some of the issues you came across under Bielsa as well, that teams playing that narrow, low block, we really struggled with. And I understand that you need to be very creative with situations like that, but you do watch at times and Again, I understand that when you're playing Somerville, he is going to cut inside, but at times you've got to try and get to the byline.
Yeah, I thought Firpo did his best to keep making runs outside him, and he got given it a couple of times. Somerville just had an off day. He's obviously he's just won AFL play. He's just won Player of the Year, so he's obviously very good at this level. But he had an off day. Like even the simple things like what was a relatively simple pass to play Firpo in when he ran past him, he smacked a couple of them straight out of play. He just wasn't on it. It was all very the same over and over again in that first half. And obviously Smodics had that chance on, I can't even say on the break because we gave him it. Like, it was just like, here you go. Like in the first half, what did we have really? Nonto had a decent shot saved early and Ampadu had a header from a free kick. And I think that's it, really. That you could call a good chance in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, Nonto's wasn't a good chance. It was a left foot shot from outside the box.
Yeah, was it sort of a half clearance from a corner?
Yeah. I think it was actually a free kick, but it nearly a corner. It was like over there.
Yeah.
Side of the box.
Yeah, it was. Nonto's was very well struck. It was a good, if not slightly dramatic save from Pears, I think, for that one.
Yeah. He had another one of them as well. Connor Roberts had a left foot shot from about 25 yards out that he turned into a very dramatic save. But I think if he just sorts his feet out a bit earlier, I think he can probably just catch.
Yeah, I think is it the Ampadu one in the first half that was very catchable, that seemed very close to him, and he parried that wide? Or
no, the Ampadu header he headed wide from. I think it was Connor Roberts took the free kick. It was in quite a central area, and he curled it to about level with the far post.
Oh yeah, but yeah, you're kind of frustrated because you're looking at a team that's, for all intents and purposes, it's Sammy Smodics. That was the team, and the tactic
we said if you keep Smodics quiet, they won't score.
Yeah, and strangely, there was one person they were looking to for an out ball every time, and it was him.
Knock it up to Gallagher because he's big. See if I can get to Smodics, and they only had a couple of efforts, but despite us having 95% of the game, and like our XG will have been a lot higher and stuff like that, in terms of actual big chances, I think like they had the two Smodics efforts and that miraculous tackle from Connor Roberts basically on our own goal line.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, I reckon the Ampadu header was a really good chance. And in the second half, that Bamford header was a really good chance. So I think they probably had 3 big chances and we had 2, despite us having 95% of the game. So I couldn't call this a robbery or anything.
No, it was. Yeah, it was just sort of a game that became devoid of ideas on our part, and we are at the best of times a bit over reliant on Crescentia Somerville, but it just showed in this game when they're going, maybe stop giving it to him.
Yeah,
and use that bloke Dan on the other side. Like, just what, like 20 minutes left. He's dead quick. Just try it.
Yeah, I mean, when he came on, Dan James he had one really good effort with his left foot that went just wide, and Nonto was an inch away from getting to it, sliding in at the far post. That was a bit unlucky. It was a good effort. But before the first round of subs, it was the same thing over again, and we looked devoid of ideas. And it wasn't great. We were never good at any point in this game. I think his best period was after that first round of subs. Byron came on for Roberts, Bamford came on for Ruter, and Dan James came on for Ilya Gruev. And Nonto sort of got given a lot of freedom at that point, and he then for 15 minutes was by far the best player on the pitch and looked easily the most dangerous, was really getting in. But And people were saying, I'll be honest, I didn't really think this at the time because the next 15 minutes were good, but people around me in the stand were saying this and they were proved right. They're all going, I'd have took Gray off, not Gruev. And it wasn't so much of a problem after these subs, but once Joseph came on for Nonto, obviously the goal is right after, so I'm not sure it was necessarily directly that, but we lost that tick over, recycle the ball player, and I do think that hurts.
Yeah, you sort of need, like you say, the player who's just going to sit deep when the clearance is made, puts his foot on the ball, takes that second for everyone to kind of drop back into position, and then you start again. It's not really Piru's role. It's not really Gray's role. I know Phil Hay wrote this week about that, sort of our lack of goals from central midfield.
I hadn't realised that it was 0. Because
yeah.
I mean, in my head, Archie's still got one, but he was playing left back at the time. And I know it went down as an own goal, but I'm still giving him it.
I mean, yeah, if you kind of go through it, it's a player who I never want to see take a shot from more than 20 yards away again in Ethan Ampadu. Ilya Gruev, who I don't think I've seen take a shot.
I remember him having one good one, but it was late on in like a 3-0 or 4. It was a game where we were miles in front and he went, sod it, I'll have one now.
There's Kamara, who I feel if he had the ball 3 yards out in dead centre, he'd turn and look for the pass.
Yeah.
And Archie Gray, who never really seems to be in that position aside from Leicester.
Yeah, he doesn't. His natural game, I think, will lead to him getting more shots off. But I don't think he's quite playing his natural game for us, regardless of which position he's in at the minute. That's what I was hoping moving him into midfield would do, because we'd have so much of the ball. I thought he'd be quite free to get forward, and he really didn't play that way. After those subs, we do have to, unfortunately, talk about it. It kind of happened again with Bamford. The best chance comes to him 7 yards out, middle of goal, free header, and he misses the ball and it hits him basically in his back and goes over. Because he goes to flick the header and he misses it, it hits him sort of base of his neck. And it's just because he had that good run of form and he just isn't in it anymore.
No, it's sort of the catch-22, isn't it, with Bamford at the moment, that he's the only one who gets into those positions, but also does not finish them.
Yeah.
Maybe given more of the chance, Mateo Joseph would, but at the moment,
not going to happen now. As I say, if he was going to do that, it'd have been against Sunderland, and once he didn't, that's not happening this season, which is fine. I don't mind that, but that's why I thought the playing Peru thing was so odd. And I do wonder if he just thought, we're not taking his chances, I should put my best finisher on the pitch, even if he's not playing in his ideal role.
I was trying to figure out who the best finisher was.
Well, yeah, I think the best finisher is definitely Peru. I think he's the calmest one in front of goal. The central options.
Just doesn't seem
Somerville as well, but he's a winger.
He just doesn't seem to be in finishing positions.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's beggars belief. It's so Leeds United.
Yeah. We say that we've had this before with dragons where you're like, can we have the off the ball stuff from this guy and the technique of this one, and just put them in? But the problem is, if you put them in one player, that's 40 million.
Yeah, so it's a Premier League striker, is that?
Yeah.
What you've got is Ollie Watkins.
Yeah, but remember, we didn't want him. We wanted, as good as Rodrigo was, we wanted him at 28 going on 29 instead.
Yeah.
For roughly the same money. Farke took Nonto off with 10 minutes left. And he said it was fitness related, but I know he was blowing a bit. But unless he was actively injured, I don't understand that decision. Because he was by a mile his biggest threat and we had 9 days till his next game.
Yeah,
I really would have gambled and just left him on.
Yeah, the only way you'd kind of want it to, where it makes sense, is if he's very high risk of re-injuring himself. But it didn't make a lot of sense. And I think one of the other problems is when you're playing teams like this who sat so deep anyway, and then get the goal, and you're just putting more attacking players in, and you do end up just filling up so much space. And I know you have to have some bodies up there for if there's a chance, but
they need some spread to them.
Yeah, like Crescencio Somerville needs somewhere to cut inside too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we do the goal?
It was a very frustrating watch. We should talk about their goal, because it's not even like we can say, we got picked off on the counter-attack. It was a goal kick. I mean, they knocked the ball long. Gallagher beats Rodon to a flick on. And at the moment that he wins that header, I've paused it, Leeds are set up. Good God, it's dreadful. I don't know whether it's the communication thing again, like we're on about with Cov. But as that ball gets flicked on, Rodon is obviously challenging Gallagher. So because he's gone forward, Byram has tucked inside, which in theory is fine. But Byram has Dolan in the middle. Ampadu is to the left of him. Smodics runs to the right to where there's no one. And it looks like it's Archie Gray who's meant to be going with him, and he just loses him. But I don't actually see a reason why Byram was the one. It was sort of, he's like dead middle of the pitch, almost like central centre-back, and Ampadu's at a left centre-back, and there's no one at right. Whereas there's no player where Ampadu is. So if Ampadu picks up Dolan and Byram is the spare man, the danger's not there. But all we need to do is talk to each other and look at where their players are. Because it's not like, they've made good runs to do that. Their setup on the goal kick itself is wrong.
Yeah, I've also just got it sort of frozen on when Rodon challenges for the header, and you're just looking going, this is so out of sorts at this point. And I know that's kind of 10 minutes to go in a game like this. We're going to be a little, the players are going to be shifted about a bit just because of what Farke does at that point. But just the awareness of runners or lack thereof. You're just looking as Ampadu just not being in position, but he then spots exactly what's going to happen on that.
It goes tear out of the cross to try and cover.
Yeah.
But
like I say, you just end up with, is it Gray and Byram stood next to each other, both being turned.
Yeah. You basically get all three of them are nearest to Dolan, and none of them are nearest to Smodics.
The one player who probably should be man marked out of any of them.
Yeah, it's just, I do wonder, because it was like straight after a sub. I wonder if maybe there was some sort of communication error with who was meant to have who. But that change was Joseph Fernanto. So I don't see how it should have made any difference to anything back there. Like, it's just a soft goal. And when you're in the sort of form that we've been in this last few games, and I include the draw at Watford and the win over Hull in this, because we weren't good in them either. If you keep just not you have to score goals when you're on top in games. If not, you'll get punished by good players. And Sammy Smodics is a really good player. Finished it really well. And I mean, I said before this game, we have to beat Blackburn at home if we're going to get in the top two. And I really do think that was true. Because of other results, because we'll mention now, Plymouth beat Leicester 1-0. Ipswich drew 1-0 with Middlesbrough. Southampton won 3-2 against Watford with a 99th minute winner, so they're the new Ipswich. And then beat Preston 3-0 on Tuesday night. So we are only 2 points off.
But now Southampton are right back in it.
Yeah, we're 2 points behind Ipswich, same number of games. 1 point behind Leicester, they've got a game in hand. Southampton are 3 points behind us with a game in hand. So Southampton are properly in it. Only reason, like, we're favoured over Southampton because we've got a better goal difference, and that game in hand is Leicester, isn't it? The one they've got left. It's them playing each other.
It's so hard to believe, given what was going on, that between us, Ipswich, and Leicester, there's only one win in each of our last 3 games.
Yeah, it's pressure, and that's the next thing I was going to come on to. What are the reasons for this bad form? I was probably a bit overly harsh on Twitter because I basically said we'd bottled it. I stand by the principle of that. I probably shouldn't have phrased it like that. But I think we are struggling to handle the pressure, and I think we are seeing the downside of having such a young squad at the minute.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of, I think the young squad has quite a lot to do with it. My issue with that is that we also knew it was a young squad in September and in January. The only thing
it didn't help, but that's one of the reasons I wanted Connor Roberts in.
Yeah,
because he's not old by any means, but he's sort of been there, done that in this league.
Yeah, and I suppose that's when you look at some of the more experienced players in the team, that Dan James's championship. I know Dan James has had a few years in the Premier League, but Dan James's experience for Swansea was never promotion chasing Swansea, like in a serious bid to go up. Gruev's never played at this like in the Championship. Kamara's not played in the Championship for.
Kamara has been involved in like title races, and I know that they didn't win it, but he has played in the European final and stuff. I'd be less worried about him for it. I've watched him. I don't think it's particularly that I'm worried about any individuals. I just think it's getting to them a bit. And as we've said it before about football at these sorts of levels, it only needs to make you drop off by 5%. And it just makes a huge difference. I think that's a big part of it. And I think the other part of it is this is the first time all season that both Somerville and Jorginho have been playing poorly at the same time.
Yeah, it's getting to the point now where you if it wasn't 3 games from the end of the season, you'd be saying Jorginho probably needs dropping for a game or 2. But yeah, I don't know if you can do that at this point of the season.
Yeah, probably not. Like I'm always going to advocate for him playing, just because I think the good even when he's overplaying and losing the ball as much as he is and all of that, I still think I think that the good outweighs the bad. But like if he'd have brought Peru in for Ruter, I don't think I could have gone, wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah, I do wonder if it's weird because you look at the way like that Somerville and Jorginho are treated by defenders in these games, and there's always 2 or 3 men around them. And all that ever makes me think is someone must be in so much space somewhere.
Yeah, from the wing.
Yeah. Willie Donto is waving his arms on the right-hand side somewhere. I don't, depending on his fitness, I don't know if after a performance like that, we will come to this when we talk about the Borough game at the weekend. But do you look at maybe starting Nonto at 10 and going James, Nonto, Somerville? Or do you bring Piru in and go back to Bamford up front, and then you've kind of got the best of both worlds, and you've got your pressing striker, and you've got a decent finisher playing behind him?
Yeah, obviously, we'll come to that more after we've heard the press conference and stuff on Saturday, but I think that it'll go back to Bamford up front, Georgie behind. And I think it'll be Nonto Somerville, but we'll see. But yeah, I really... The other side of the stress that was mentioned that I thought was weird, and I can't really remember this happening very often. Normally, Leeds concede a goal like that, like including stoppage time, somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes left. The crowd reaction would be right, and it normally really gets up. And right, let's try and get some out of this. And in the ground, as soon as that goal went in, it went so flat. And like I felt the exact same way watching it. Like as soon as that goal went in, we all just had a collective, well, that's fucked it. And because for all the time we had the ball, despite having a couple of really big chances, I just never thought we looked like we were going to score. I think that might be the most 10-man Wigan game I've seen since 10-man Wigan. Got all the ball and everything, but do you actually think they're going to score? No.
No, there just wasn't enough going on consistently enough to make you think we're going to do this. Like, yeah, you can pick out Dan James's ball across, but that they were relatively isolated moments. You know, you're talking. This is a game where we had 19 shots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it ended up. It was like we had 19 and they had 3 of them. But
yeah, 3 shots. They had 3 shots, 2 on target. We had 5 on target.
Yeah. But both of those 2 on target were like really good chances. And
yeah,
that's the thing with it. Like we just looked like we'd run out of ideas. And I hope I'm wrong, but I cannot see. I can't see us suddenly turning around and winning 3 out of 3. And I think that's what we'd need to do.
It's so hard to tell now, given... Because the one thing I was kind of thinking about is like, well, who's probably best prepared for this? It's probably Ipswich, given they went through this last season.
And they went through it last season, but also the other thing with Ipswich is Ipswich are the only ones that know it's fine if they don't make it. If Southampton don't go back up, they've still got players on huge wages and stuff, it'll be a problem. If Leicester don't go up, they're getting a points deduction. If we don't go up, we're probably not getting a points deduction, but we're selling 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
Like whereas Ipswich's budget will be absolutely fine, you'd think.
Yeah. So it's so hard to tell.
I'm just going to say out loud that I know that sounds ridiculous that I'm saying it's an advantage that they've got that they're the smallest budget and stuff. I only mean specifically for these 3 games. Overall, it's a massive disadvantage. Yeah. I just mean specifically for these 3 games, I think it might help just ease the pressure on them a little bit.
I even like football. It's so frustrating. Yeah. Like I had to watch that second half while I was working.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
And I wouldn't mind. I just looked up and saw a long ball over the top and went, "Oh, for God's sake!" You could. It was the second they won the header. I know what's going to happen here.
Well, that is what it was like. The second that ball got flicked on, because of how all over the place we were, not only could you say, "Oh, this looks open," as soon as that ball got flicked on, you could see exactly what was going to happen. But it was too late to do what about it.
Yeah.
Like he's got 5 yards of space, but it's too late by then.
Oh God. Yeah. I don't know. I've got nothing. I'm so glad I don't have to make a prediction now.
No, we'll do them on Saturday. The good thing is One, I know Southampton have won twice, and fair fucks to them, they're right back in it. But because Leicester and Ipswich dropped points as well, it's definitely not over. And as much as I have no faith in us in the playoffs because it's Leeds and the playoffs, at least there is, if it does go wrong, it's not over. There's still a chance.
Yeah. Should we finish on the positives?
People at work today booked the playoff final off.
Should we talk about the positives? Not from the game. Somerville, Championship Player of the Year, Archie Gray.
Oh yeah, is that since the last pod?
Yeah,
I honestly can't remember. Yeah, I mean, Somerville winning Player of the Year, I think, is absolutely fine. I think it's perfectly fair. There are a few players who could claim to it, but he's definitely one of them, and I think he's brilliant. Gray winning Apprentice of the Year was nailed on. I don't think there's even anyone else that could have come close. There's probably others that could have challenged him for Young Player.
Yeah, he's got those, and then you've also got Ruter and Ampadu in the Championship Team of the Year.
Ampadu's absolutely fine. The only weird thing is that it's at centre-back when I still think he was slightly better in midfield than he has been at centre-back, but you have to pick Dewsbury Hall and you have to pick Sarah.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way around. Ruter is absolutely deserving of being in the 11. I'm not sure he deserves to be in the 11 at number 9. Like,
with 6 goals.
Yeah, like, I mean, even if
I know he's got a lot of assists, but if you're picking a number 9,
if he'd got a shitload of assists and all of them had been while playing at 9, I'd go, it don't matter that he hasn't scored that many goals, but he's got the majority of those assists playing at 10.
Yeah.
The problem, and it happens at the end of the year every single time. If you're picking a best 11 from a league, there's always 17 players that deserve to be in it. It's just always the case.
And you'd have to say that justice was probably done by Kieran McKenna getting Manager of the Year.
You know what's weird? I never even checked who'd won it because in my head he'd already won it, and rightly so.
Did you not think Liam Rossini was going to compete for that?
No, that was a bit one of these things. He's not like the other, isn't it? But he's done a good job, but not a great job. Whereas Kieran McKenna has done a ridiculous job. That is one thing. If Ipswich go up, one, they'll absolutely deserve it. They've done brilliant. But if they don't, you would think someone in the Premier League is just gonna try and get Kieran McKenna, wouldn't you?
Yep, and he'll go there, and it won't work out. And if the Championship has taught me anything, is he will go back to Ipswich.
Chelsea will get him to replace Pochettino and sack him in October.
Also, just one of those things I noticed in the League One Team of the Year, Conor Shaughnessy.
Oh, was he?
So well done.
I mean, I know they got promoted. Was that last night?
Yeah, they've won the league, haven't they? So, yeah. Good for him.
Well, good for him, because when he first got a chance at Leeds, he looked good. And then he didn't play for a bit. And then when he came back, he looked abysmal. And
yeah,
I thought,
maybe not built for Bielsa's football.
Yeah, and I thought, maybe it was a bit of a flash in the pan. But I'm glad he's done well. Good for him. We'll probably leave it there because the next things to talk about would be the next game, and we should wait until after the press conference and stuff to find out that we've got 6 players out injured or something. I mean, we can't really rely on a favour from Middlesbrough. We've already done us one by holding Ipswich to a draw. I mean, if Luke Ayling's got about him on Sunday, is going to like poison everyone, shove some raw chicken in everyone's dinner or something. give everyone the world's most horrendous shits.
Hire the Spurs chef. Get the lasagnas out.
Which way round was it? Was it was Spurs that got poisoned away at West Ham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need some of that. That'll do us. But the amount of pressure there's going to be shitloads of pressure on the game either way. But it's two different kinds of pressure. If it's like this last 2 weekends and they've dropped points, because Ipswich aren't even playing ever.
No, because it's cup semi-finals this weekend.
Yeah, and they were meant to play Coventry, but Leicester are the early kick-off against West Brom. Like, if they drop points again, because Leicester and Ipswich have tried their damn best to give us this. They've handed it to us on a silver platter, and we couldn't lift up the lid. I mean, one of the guys at work today has said to me, and the worst part is that he might even be right, that he's going to laugh in his words, I am going to laugh my tits off when you come fourth in a third horse race. Like, I'm just going to go, for fuck's sake, because it might happen. Like when Spurs did it in the league a couple of years ago. But to be honest, whether it's third or fourth doesn't matter. That doesn't really make any difference. They don't really give a shit who we're playing the playoffs. It's just you either get top two or you don't.
Once we're in the playoffs, we've lost. It's fine.
Well, we'll sort of. I'm going to go into it assuming that, yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of my brain, because the only time I've ever been confident was going down to watch us play Donny in League One playoff final. I was so sure we were going to win. I was 100% convinced, and that made it hurt like fuck when we didn't.
Always remember, never dream.
Yeah. You tried, you failed. The lesson is never try. Right, so we will be back probably live on Saturday morning and get it out by Saturday afternoon. I would think that we will do it early enough that it'll be before the Leicester game kicks off, which I'm probably not going to watch for my health. And also because they have kept dropping points when I don't watch. So I'm going to keep not watching.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I want to watch any more football.
Ever again.
This is stressful. The Champions League's full of dickheads. It's like, oh, should we watch this quarter final between two of the biggest teams in the world who both tried to leave and form their own monopoly? Like, oh yeah, brilliant. Bradford is shit. How Garforth getting on? Are they getting promoted?
Garforth are in the playoffs, and their playoff semi-final is on Saturday, the 27th of April.
Go on, Garforth.
And it's a home semi-final, and the Leeds game is Friday night. So, depending on what I'm working, I might even go. Because I'd really like Garforth to get promoted. But yeah, that will.
I want commission on that ticket sale, by the way.
I was about to say, but you'll be working, won't
you?
Yep. So yeah, that'll do us for episode 263. We'll be back in a couple of days to talk about the Middlesbrough game, and just hopefully we get another round of other teams screwing up to give us a chance, and then maybe we can take advantage. But I've been Jack. See ya.
I've been Casey. Have a good one.
In a bit.